Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. My name is Rahinita Kokor, and if you're new here, please don't forget to subscribe, comment, like and share as well. And in today's video, I'll be talking about distractions and how Jesus dealt with distractions. Now, we know that distractions is something that comes to us all the time. It's all around us. You usually do not go looking out for distraction, but it comes to you. Anything you are doing, there's one or two things that is going to distract you. And in today's video, I just want to share how Jesus dealt with distraction. And I'll be reading from Mark chapter 1 verse 35. It's a very common verse that we all use. It says that, "Now in the morning, having risen a long while before day, he went out and departed to a solitary place, and there he prayed." Now, when we read this scripture, one thing that comes to mind is quiet time and the time we do our quiet time and stuff like that. But I was reading the scripture, there were certain key things that I noticed about how Jesus dealt with distraction, and I'm going to be sharing a few thoughts on that. And so please do watch to the end. If you have any comment, you can put that in the comment section, how you are able to handle distraction. But I'm going to be sharing it from Jesus' perspective. As I was reading the scripture, I was asking myself a couple of questions. Why did Jesus decide to go to a solitary place? Why didn't Jesus pray in his house? Why didn't he pray any time of the day? But I noticed three key things that Jesus Christ did. So he's able to avoid distraction. The first thing was to acknowledge the fact that there is something called distraction, because he had to make a decision to leave his house. And why would he leave his house? That was the question I was asking myself, because his home would consist of maybe family, friends, disciples. I'm not sure which house, but of course a house is a house, and there definitely will be other people in the house, and Jesus never did things alone. He always had his disciples around him, or his family, or people that wants to hear him preach, or miracles that he's performing around people. Jesus Christ was never really alone, and so wherever he found himself, people were around. So he first of all acknowledged the fact that there are distractions around, and so he needs to make a decision to leave the house. Now, the next thing he had to do was to consider the time of the day he would go pray. Bible says that it was before daylight, and before daylight is dawn. So Jesus Christ considered the time of the day he would, stay away from the house, or he would leave the house. The third thing he did was the location of where he would pray. The Bible describes it as a solitary place. That is a place that is quiet, a place that there are no people around, a place that is calm, there are no distractions whatsoever. And so the three things that I noticed Jesus Christ did was, first of all, the acknowledgement of the fact that there are distractions all around. Number two, the time that he had to leave the house. And number three, the location, or where he decides to go to pray. And that brings me to understand that for us to deal with distractions in our lives, first of all, we need to understand and know that we are distracted, or there are distractions around us. It could be anything you are doing. Maybe you're working, you want to pray, you want to do something, anything at all, you want to stay focused and do something. There are distractions around. That's the first thing you need to acknowledge. If you're unable to acknowledge that there are distractions around, it will be very difficult to even start dealing with it. And so the first thing you need to know is that there are distractions around. And like I said earlier, distractions are not something you go looking out for. It's not something you find. It comes to you. You're just there and it comes to you. And we all know in our current dispensation, the number of distractions that are surrounding us, especially with the advancement of technology in our age, where we have so many social media platforms, we're using our phones, and notifications are popping up and so many things. So distractions are all over the place. Sometimes it may not even be distraction from your phone. It could even be distraction from the mind. You're doing something, and by the time you realize, your mind is just drifting away from what you have to do. There's so many things that you're thinking about. So distractions are something that we cannot avoid, and that was what Jesus Christ identified. And so he had to make a decision to leave the house. And so we need to make a decision to leave or stay away from distraction. And number two, the time of the day he chose to go pray. Now, if we want to do something, we need to consider the time, because sometimes you may be doing something that is actually right, but the time may not be right. And so we need to consider the time we want to do something that will help us stay focused. Number three, where or the place or the location where you want to do what you want to do. So Jesus Christ decided to choose a place that is very quiet, a place that is calm, a place that he can spend time alone with God without people around him. And so we also need to consider the location of what we want to do. Is it the right place to do what we want to do? If it's not the right place, you realize that you'll be doing what you want to do, but you're going to get distracted. Okay, so these were the three things Jesus Christ did in order to stay away from distractions. And so for you to deal with distractions, it has to be a deliberate effort. Without making any deliberate efforts, you realize that anything that comes your way, you just fall for it and you end up losing focus. So even if Jesus Christ is able to identify that there's distractions and he put measures in place to stay away from distractions, how much more we who are his followers? And so we need to learn how to put in measures to stay away from distractions. Sometimes it can be quite hard, quite difficult, but Jesus Christ did it. And since we are copying him, since we are imitating him, we need to also learn to put in measures to stay away from distractions. Now, there's a book that I read some time ago. It says How to Break Up with My Phone. I'm bringing this book up because one of the key distractions we have currently is our phones, because our phones has so many social media platforms, so many apps that we use, that sometimes you want to do something, you pick up your phone, you want to do something, and by the time you realize, you find yourself in a different app doing something else, and you forget exactly why you picked up your phone. And sometimes too, you're just there, your hands are just itchy to pick up your phone. The first thing we do when we wake up in the morning is to pick up our phones and go on social media. So I don't know, I'll look for the title. I think, the title is How to Break Up with Your Phone. It was written by, I don't remember the name, but I'll put the details in the description. It's a very good book to read. If you are someone that struggles from staying away from your phone and social media, I think it will be a good read for you. But as much as we can, we need to be deliberate and be intentional about working on distractions or staying away from distractions, because distractions are all around us, and until we make that deliberate effort to stay away from them, they are always going to come in the way of everything we do. So that's it about distractions. If you have any thoughts or comment, feel free to leave them in the comment section and I'll be so glad to read them. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you again in my next video. Bye.